All right, okay, so we are recording, and we're gonna go ahead and start standing today. So find where your strap is at. And I always say it's nice to grab the end that has the buckle at it, but your buckles are soft, whereas mine is, if you have the metal one, oy, don't get hit with that. So we're gonna just start with some shoulder flossing. So you're gonna pick a distance that feels wide enough so that you can get a little stretch going on with your strap, and the wider you go, the easier it is to stretch, and then the less wide you go, obviously, it's a little bit more work. So you can bring the strap just a little bit behind your head and shoulders if you want. You can stay more forward in front of you. One of my favorites to do is just going side to side, and you're adding a little bit of tension between your palms so that you're sort of pulling and then resisting the pull with the other arm or palm, kind of depending on how you want to feel it, really. And then it's always nice to, I like to drop one of my arms kind of really down far towards my side and then reach the other arm overhead. And you don't even have to have a straight arm too. That's just kind of nice. You can have a sort of curved arm, bent elbowed, but add that little, I'm trying to draw that upper arm down towards the floor, but that upper arm's trying to resist being pulled down. It's like a little side body stretch, kind of. If you add a little arc to your ribs. And then if you want, you can even circle round so that you get a chance to kind of bring your arms down and soften for a moment. And then reach up and around. And then as you come forward, you kind of get to soften your grip and the strap. And then work your way back around. Whatever direction you pick to go in, when you feel like it's a good spot, you might actually even come forward and rest for a moment and then go into the opposite direction. This is why having the buckle close to your hand is nice, because if you have a loose strap like me, you just never know when that thing's gonna whack you. All right, so we're gonna do a little bit of a forward fold here. So if you want to make it less about the legs, then you're just gonna take a really big bend into your knees when you fold forward, and then you're gonna let it come more into your shoulders. So I like to have my fists, the back of my palms facing forward, and then I turn my thumbs so that they also face forward. And then when I bend over, I can let my arms come overhead. And the bigger bend that you have in your knees, and the less it's about the legs, and the more it's about the shoulders. And if you get down there and you're like, oh, I need my palms to be a little bit closer, then you can always come back up, wiggle the hands closer together. If you want them to be further apart. But we're just seeing if this forward fold stretch does anything magical for you, or if you're like, this is not comfortable, I need to come up. I don't love it, I like it, somewhere in between. And then bring your arms back around, and you can just set the strap down like behind you at your feet, and then just enjoy a little forward fold here. You can rock on your feet forward and back. And if the palms are like nowhere near the floor, that's cool. If you have a block, you can always bring the block into play underneath your palms at any height. You can also grab onto ankles. You don't have to be going for the floor. It doesn't make you magical if you can touch the floor. People always ask me that when I talk about yoga, but I can't touch the floor. I promise it doesn't matter. Just another moment here where we're kind of just hanging out, arms either draped or at floor or legs. And then you're gonna work your way to stand. So as you come up, you can use your hands on your legs to work your way up, nice and slow. You can also just one vertebra at a time, kind of up to you thing, but you're eventually getting there. Stand. All right, so we're gonna do a little bit of movement, breath flowy, kind of trying to drop some more of that into practices more so recently. So we will be down on the knee. So if you want anything underneath the knee, you can always throw something extra there. And then if you have a block, you can always put it near the top of your mat, but accessible to you in like the low lunge setting. So, but you don't have to have a block. All right, so top of your mat, you're gonna take a big inhale, reach up with the arms. And then on your exhale, you're gonna cactus and squeeze so the shoulder blades come together. You'll take an inhale, reaching back up. We'll just do that 2 more times. So exhale. Inhale, reach up. Palms don't have to meet, they can just face each other. And then one more round where you exhale, give a good little squeeze into the back body. Reach the arms up. One more time on your inhale. And then when you're ready, you're gonna exhale, forward fold. Inhale, you'll take about a halfway lift. And then exhale, plant the palms, step back with the right foot. You'll come to a low lunge. And then here's where the block might come in handy. You can always put it underneath your palm to add a little elevation for the chest. But we're gonna open up into a twist. So left arm reaches up and you twist. And then when you exhale, you can plant that palm back down and shift your block forward. And you're gonna step back to knees and lower to the belly. So once you're on your belly, it's kind of yogi's choice how you want to play your back bend. And here, breathing doesn't matter as much. You can take a couple of inhales and exhales into your back bend. You can use a lot of support with the palms on the floor. You can take up dog, you can take any choice. You can even fold down and up a couple of times. You don't have to hold your back bend. And then when you're satisfied with your little back bend work, you're gonna push up to either knees or plank. And you're gonna hold either a plank position or you're gonna be on your knees and shift back, heels towards the bum. Or bum towards the heels. I guess that's the motion we were going in. And then you're gonna find your way forward to the top of your mat. So that might look like coming to a down dog kind of like shape, walking feet forward. And then when you're ready, it's half lift, fold, and stand. So go with your breaths. Everybody's ins and outs are different. So you just take your time, get in there. Nice work. I'm gonna do a little bit of that same for our second side where we take our in and reach. And then 3 rounds of our little cactus squeeze. So pull and then in to reach back up. Getting a little open chest movement here. And then same our second side. So when you inhale, reach, it's an exhale, fold. You'll half lift. You'll plant the palms and then left steps back this time. So you find a little lunge on the other side. And if you want your block, you can grab onto it, put it under that left palm. And then the right arm is the one that gets to open and reach. And then when you're ready to exhale, plant the palms down. You might need to move your block. And then same flow here. Knees, belly, and then your back bend of choice. So you lower down. You find whatever back bend is soothing. We've done a lot of belly work before too, where we lift arms, we lift legs, we alternate. So if that's more where you want to be today than big back bend, then go there. When you're ready to lower down, we're going to knees or plank. So take your ins and outs in your movements with your own breath pace. An option to hang out on knees or plank, or to just sit back, bottom to heel. Let's stretch for the shoulders. And then finding our way to stand. So you might slip into a down dog for a moment and then walk the feet. You might just get yourself there in a forward fold. And then you know the drill. Honor your ins and outs as you go up and down. And you'll find your way to stand when you're ready. Nice. We're going to walk a little bit towards the back of our mat, middle-ish back, and we're going to take a couple of lunging actions here. So you can do whatever you need to with your arms that feel stable. They can be down at your sides or hands heart center or hips. And your lunge does not have to be this giant lunge either. It could just be a baby step forward. So you're going to alternate. You just step forward with the right foot, and you can choose to bend down a little bit too if you'd like, or just step forward and then step back. We're just going to alternate. Just getting a little motion here. I like this work for the ankles too. It just brings a little bit of challenge. Trying to plant the feet down and get them to push back equally. Gets the heart up a little bit too. Not that yoga's cardio, but it's nice. All right, the next time your right foot steps forward, you're gonna stay in that lunge, that high lunge. Inhale, reach the arms up. And then exhale, left arm goes forward, right goes back, split twist. Hang out for an extra breath or two. You can always choose to let the hips twist with you or to keep them directly pointed forward. And then time it with your breath so that you switch on an inhale, reach. And an exhale, twist your second side. And then from here, you're going to open up into warrior. And your arms can either be reaching out in front of you or they can just be down at your sides. I'm going down with my arms today because I did some working out already today. My arms feel just fine. All right, we're going to inhale, reverse our warrior. So reach back with your right arm like you're trying to touch the wall up and overhead behind you. And then when you're ready, inhale, reach it up. Exhale, that arm comes down towards that thigh. So you can always change up your arms in this forward position here. So you can either have your forearm down the knee, or you can have a long arm next to your leg. Your upper left arm could be overhead, could be hanging out on your hip. You can have free arms if you're like, Valerie, I need more core today. You can add a bind to your moment here. And I know generally there's more weight on that forward front foot, but perhaps you could shift a little bit more back towards your left. Try to press into the pinky edge of that left foot. And then you're gonna work your way back to your center, unravel in the ways that you twisted or bound up. Nice. And then you can bring those hips forward again to face the front of your mat. And then out the way you came, step it back into the middle-ish or back of your mat. And then we get to switch our sides. I won't make you do 1,000 more lunges, but take your time. Step it forward, left foot. Unless you want to do another 50 lunges. And then from this position, inhale, reach. Exhale, the right arm goes forward, left goes back. Enjoy your twists with some breath. And then on your inhale and exhale, you'll switch your side. We'll take a moment to either square hips or let them twist open with you a little bit. Find that subtle ways that you can balance here. And then you come into your warrior pose. So back foot gets to drop down. And if you want to keep your arms long and extended, you can, or you can drop them down to the thighs. When you're ready, you'll inhale up, arm to reverse, reaching back behind you. You'll inhale back to your center. And then exhale, come into extended side angle, second side. So forearm can be down the knee. You can be long arm to the inside leg, outside leg. Some people go outside. Right hand to hip or overhead. You can change your options in the middle of the pose. There's no rule against that. You can find a challenge or you can find a softness. You can inhale when you're ready, come back up. The toes turn towards that front of your mat again. And then out the way you came in. So push off that front foot, step it back. Nice. And then take a wide stance. You can either do that just with your skinny side, or if you have to turn towards your long side because it feels nicer, that's fine too. And then palms come to the knees. And we get a little like shimmy forward with the shoulders, so you add a little twist. And you can go with your breath where you in, release, and exhale, dip in. And then here's your chance to hang out on one side of your twist or to keep moving. So if you're going to choose to keep moving, you're going to keep moving for a couple of moments because we're going to do both sides while you're shifting left to right. And then if you're pausing and holding in your twist, then you're going to just switch to the other side. You'll shimmy in, you'll hang out for a moment. And then you can come back into your center. And here's where we're going to drop the arms down towards the floor and go long-legged. So you might need to go wider feet, or your toes might need to come turn in or out a little bit more. But it's a wide-legged forward fold. And this is, again, where blocks are super helpful because you don't have to, your goal is not, you know, to reach the floor. You don't have to get to the floor. But we're going to do some of that similar twisting action that we did when we were in our when we were in our low lunge, our knee down lunge. So right palm or fist is going to plant to block our floor, more or less under your face. And then you'll reach with that left arm and twist towards that left side. And you can let the hips go free. So your right hip will probably sink down and also to the left. And then your left hip kind of reaches up a little. You're letting them go asymmetrical. You can look up, you can look straight down, you can look somewhere between. Whatever feels nice for the neck. And then when you exhale, you can bring the palm back down. We're going to twist to the same side, but this side you're going to try not to let the hips left and right rock. So you're just twisting through the spine. So whenever you're ready, you'll twist up. And you'll probably notice, I can't twist as far. But that's good for the spine right now because we're getting the twist going for the spine instead of for the hips. And then you'll unfold. It'll take a moment before switching to your second side. So that means that the left palm more or less comes under the face on top of the block or the floor. And then as you reach your right arm up, you're going to let your hips shift so that you can let them play and the spine play. And I kind of like looking towards the wall versus the ceiling, but some people like to look straight up towards their palm. Some people like to lay their head down towards the floor. It's fine. And then same here, we unfold, unwind. Take a moment to center your hips. They are like a little tabletop, left and right cheek, and then twist open one more time just with the spine. Especially with this hips free twist, I really kind of like to allow for the block to help me a little bit more. My neck doesn't want to look up towards the ceiling, so I just look towards the wall. And then unwind. You want to take an extra moment to play around with a little forward fold or a sway, or if you want to really lean into your block and let it help guide you through this, you can shimmy hips left and right like we were going into that twist. Big bend or little bend in the knee. Just a moment to play or to be still. And then work your way back up to stand. I like to take a little baby bend in my knees and actually use my hands at my thighs to kind of help me up. Nice. And then wherever you're at, you're going to heel toe your feet back to the center. So toes come in, heels come in, toes come in, heels come in. It'll work for the in and the outside of the hip there. All right, we haven't done some really fun balancing poses in a while, and I thought, you know, we can handle this. So here are some options for you. You can just do a tree pose. And I don't know necessarily what tree has like one leg. That's like the most unstable tree I've ever seen. But when you come to your tree pose, you can draw that leg up, that free foot up, and then plant it down wherever it lands. If you just have to have that foot up by your, you know, your crotch area, then you can always pull it up with your hand. But I like the active, like I'm trying to get my foot there all by itself. You don't have to have it there either. You can just have it like hanging out in the wind. You can do whatever you need to with arms. You can move the leg around. That's going to challenge your balance even more. But it's your tree, right? The more unstable you make it, the more that your body's going to have to adjust and learn and grow from that. You can take really long blinks or close one eye at a time. Any hip movement that you might get in, that's all the better. Yeah, use the wall. You can decide to foot forward, lean back, or reach back and dip forward. Any kind of movement here is it's just totally going to be worth it. For the hip, for the standing leg. And then let it go, soften, shake it out. Maybe you take a couple of steps around. No doubt that standing leg was like, oh, what just happened to me? But now it gets to be the free one, so it's going to be fine. All right, so second side, firm up your balance. I like to take a little baby bend in my standing leg too. It just enforces that my muscles have to help me in my tree pose. And I like to drag that foot up. Oy. The hammies, my hamstrings are a little bit sensitive from my ski day on Sunday. That's okay. Totally worth it. And then once you find that perfect balance point, wreck it. Maybe you just lift the leg away for a moment, or you wiggle it around, you know. You're doing all kinds of bits on your first side. So just play. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. There's no routine. It helps to find a point that's not moving. So, you know, divert your eyes from the screen for a moment, look straight down at the floor or over it up high somewhere. And play. Don't get enough playtime as adults. You know, just like joyful silliness. And then just as you're like, ooh, how long are we gonna stand on this leg? Couple more breaths, hang in there with the balance. And then you get to set it down, shake it off, kind of walk around a little, let it go. All right, so we're gonna come down to the floor. We're gonna do a little bit of hip business because I think a class with me is just not done unless we do some hip stuff. So figure 4, and that's just where the right ankle is gonna cross over the left foot. And you can either do this upright with your palms behind you, or you can be laying on your backside. But the foot, if you're upright, the left foot that's planted on the floor, you can always bring it further away from you or closer to you. And that's going to give you more of a stretch in that outer right hip. So the foot either walks forward or back. I'm kind of twisting and turning so you see different angles, but you don't have to be rolling around on your mat. Sometimes I like to rock it like a little baby, just a little side to side. And there's no rule in having to flex your toe towards your ankle. I just do it automatically. I'm not really sure why. You can just be soft in that ankle. You might even turn it around in circles and play with your toes and if you're anything like me, then you have a left or right hip that's more snug than the other. So if this is your more snug side and you want to spend a little bit more time on it, then just hang in there. And then when you switch, you switch. Bring the other ankle in. And you can either be still or you can work side to side a little. And if this is your side that's like, oh, I'm so much more snug than the other, I have many more things to say to you, kind of hip, then maybe you hang out a little bit longer on this side. And then uncross. We're going to do a wee bit of core to get onto the back because it's just more fun, right, than just rolling on down. So you can either have the feet planted or toes up, kind of works too, heels down, and you can either lift the heels or not. I'm keeping my heels down today. My arms are going to reach towards my sides like I'm trying to reach for my toes. And we're going to do a couple of lean backs like we're going to lay back, but then we're going to come back up. So we're just sort of like teetering down to that point where we're like, I might fall backwards. No, I'm going to come back up. And this is not just core, but it's also some of your hip flexor action. And then you're going to kind of reach up. We're just going to do this a couple more times. So you get to that kind of sticky point. You might even find that you can grow that sticky point because your body starts to light up like, oh, I need to be using core right now. And then all of a sudden you can kind of reach back a little bit more. And then if you want, maybe your last one or two, you lift your heels off the ground too and sort of like counter and squeeze in or keep them down, whatever floats your boat. And then find your way onto your backside so you can just roll it on down, or you can take a really slow approach where you try to squeeze as much into your core, cinch down with that core set all the way around. Try to control the lower down until you get to your backside all the way down. And then take a moment to breathe. All right, bend the knees, plant the feet onto the mat. We'll take a couple of rounds of bridge poses. If you want to start winding down a bit more, then I'm going to recommend that you lift with ease and maybe not as high up as you can go. If you want a little bit more punch at the end of your practice, then some of the things you can do is when you lift up, you're going to drag at your heels and feet like you're trying to pull yourself forward. You can extra squeeze into your glutes and anything on the backs of your legs when you come up into your bridge. You can have arms overhead or cactusy instead of at your sides. You can even feel really light in the arms and palms. You can shift weight left to right, one foot at the other. These are just all really creative ways that you can make this more challenging. But if you're like, Valerie, I want to be cooling down, then just take a couple of gentle ups and downs. Just peel your way up a couple inches off the floor. But you're working up and down at your own pace. You're holding or you're lifting and lowering. And as you're taking your time in your bridges here, you might start to think, what did I miss today? I want more twist, or I want more happy baby, or I want to spend more time in rest. So take your last bridge or two. And then find some poses, find some movements or some soft stretching that you still need. Twisting is always a really great one to go to, especially on your backside. If you had a left or a right action or movement, then you can switch to your other side. And if there's anything else that you wanted to add to your practice besides a twist or a bridge or a baby, or one of these days I'll just throw out some imaginary poses and you'll be like, what is that? Whether you're still moving or shifting, or if you decided to come to your resting position a little early, part of the ways that we can integrate the practice into our body a bit more is to start to recognize how our body felt about that practice, how it felt about those movements. So start checking in with maybe the usual spots, hips or knees or back. If you noticed anything particular in your practice when you're in a pose or in a movement and you thought, oh, that's interesting on my insert body part, like right hip, check in with that place too. The quality of your experience depends on how much recognition you give all your working parts, including your mind. When you have spent your last wiggle, your last twist, then you'll get to come into that sweet, sweet resting place where you draw up all your awareness like a net. You've casted wide throughout the last 45 minutes. Now you get to draw it in, close down the senses, pull that inner eye and tuck it inside. Now you get to rummage around from within, just as we did this time, working on the outside. This is what makes our practice a little bit more complete and whole. When we come to this rest and either think of nothing or think of everything, but either way, except where the mind and the body's at. Enjoy your rest for as long as you're able. Good solid 5 minutes. It's always a great place to start. If you have more time to give, all the better. Thank you for sharing your practice with me this evening. And as always, I wish you a wonderful rest of your evening.